Hey everyone, this is Dr. William Clark, your host for the Dr. William Clark podcast. Glad to be with you today and excited about the opportunity to podcast. I'm always looking forward to the opportunity and time that we have together to grow and to learn and to be a part of each other's growth trajectory, particularly as it relates to our capacity to fundraise and do all types of things that are necessary for our nonprofits. And so this is a fresh podcast. Glad again to be with you, fresh off of celebrating my birthday and all that good stuff. Had a good time with my family and my children, my wife, and just glad to see another year. With that being said, I do want to speak to something really, not really quickly. I just want to speak to this topic. When we talk about fundraising and we talk about everything that comes along with it, I think it's interesting that a lot of people apply concepts of fundraising, and it's all about the concepts are all about the money collection, money grabbing process. And don't get me wrong, because we talk about this in the podcast, and I think that's an important thing to continuously stress as it relates to the work that we do. But I do want to take a moment to digress from that and talk about other pieces of fundraising, and that's kind of like the theme this year, right? Because we will talk about and address all the concepts reflect the importance of how to get the money and how to bring the money in. But I do want to talk about other ways money comes in, and it's not just the pitch that says hey. This is so-and-so nonprofit. Would you support us? Like it goes beyond that. There are so many tips and tricks that go beyond the ideas of what we understand to be fundraising. So I want to address that with you during this podcast. And I specifically want to talk about how to build recruitment channels for your program so that you can continue to strengthen fundraising. That becomes so critical to the process of fundraising, the recruitment process. Let me just start here as I seek to explain this to you. Now, the reason why I'm sharing this with you and the reason why I want to talk about recruitment for a moment as it relates to fundraising is because fundraising is all about the money coming in, right? The money that supports your work, the money that supports the infrastructure of what you do, the money that continues to build upon the work that you have. Okay, so now that we have that shared understanding, you also have to know that once you get the grant, if you are looking at fundraising as an ongoing effort and you're looking at how can we continue to build upon what we are creating, build upon what we have launched, build upon what we've been funded to do, then you now have to think about, okay, the operations of the thing that has gotten funding. So you got to fund this thing now. You got to make this thing a reality. You have to now execute on what you proposed in this particular grant application that got funded, which is exciting. When that happens, you as the person raising the money, whether CEO, development director, COO, chief development director, grant writer, fundraising person, whatever your title is, as it relates to raising money, once the money comes in, the professionals know that fundraising does not stop. That is why we get excited for a moment about, the fact that the money's here. We're excited about the fact that what we fought for this particular funding source is now present. I know for me, my colleagues, people who are in the positions that I'm in, we're great, high five to everybody that contributed to this. Now let's go on to the next, because we're all about the ongoing revenue income that is driving us. And if you've done your work well, right, you will have focused on the fact that fundraising is not just in the money grab, it's also in the operations. And I've talked about this in several podcasts as it relates to ongoing fundraising and all that good stuff. And I'll talk about this in the Grant Writing 101 Masterclass a lot. As it relates to recruitment and why I want to address this with you today, you have to know that recruitment is the equivalent to us as nonprofit professionals. It is the equivalent to what the for-profit world calls sales. Okay, bear with me for a moment. If you run a t-shirt business, car wash business, or whatever other business, You are driven by sales, number of widgets sold, t-shirts sold, number of cars washed, maybe number of if you're a barber, number of heads cut. Any for-profit business you're in, no matter what it is. And I'm giving these simple for-profit business examples just so that we can be on the same page. Number of dinners or meals sold, number of juices sold, whatever the case may be, right? Whatever you're selling, you're all about the sales numbers, because in exchange for this thing that you are now selling, you're saying, please, customer, give me X number of dollars in exchange for this. This red pen that I'm holding in my hand can represent it can represent a product or a service. So it doesn't matter. You're giving away something, whether it's information, a tangible product, in exchange for money. In the nonprofit world, it works kind of in a similar way, but it's like a different formula. So here's the formula. The red pen, which is the product, service of the nonprofit, if you will, is promoted and marketed and pitched to a paying customer who we call a funder. The funder hears the pitch and determines, okay, I like what I hear. Let's move forward with the process and the conversation. Okay. In some cases, depending on the funder, you may get invited to the next step, which is submit a request for information. Then there might be a follow-up step, which is the formal grant application, because some funders only invite people to the application process. They don't have open application invitations. Okay, so depending on what you're dealing with, who you're dealing with, you may find it out. You may be dealing with a funder who may just have an open RFP, request for proposals, and you're now responding. Regardless of whatever pathway you're going down with this, you are saying to a particular funder, in exchange for this red pen, I would like X number of dollars, or the amount of money you are making available, whether it's 5, 10, 15, 20, $50,000, $100,000, $450,000, $1 million or more. Here is our proposal. And if you are successful, then this red pen has been accepted as a reasonable proposal, strategy, whatever product, service you're selling that the funder is willing to pay for. That funder is, depending on the type of funder you have, may give you a solid 1 year to perform a number of goals, and will make additional years conditional on performance. The best example is to think about an NFL contract, a National Football League contract, where in so many cases the contract has certain guaranteed portions, and other portions are not guaranteed but are earned based upon performance from the previous year. Okay. So when that happens, the process is not over. Push aside for a second what I said earlier about, fundraising professionals are on to the next funding opportunity. Let's just stay in this lane for a moment. When you get, let's say this red pen is equivalent to a $100,000 grant, with the promise or the potential of an additional 2 years, which means that the total value of this contract, the total value of this red pen, this product, could be worth up to $300,000 pending performance. Now, when you get the first year in and you're getting that first year of funding, this red pen has to be delivered upon. And the funder may give you the money up front, or they may give it to you in pieces, or they may give it to you based upon expenses incurred. Separate podcast for a different day. But however they decide to give you the money, you now have to meet the obligations associated with the first year contract in order to earn this first year guarantee and put yourself in position for the next 2 years of funding. That means that if you are doing something community-centered, people-related in your nonprofit, you must serve X number of people, and these X number of people must achieve X number of outcomes or outputs or results that would make the funder satisfied enough to know that you have met the goals that they have agreed to that you proposed. This now translates into what we call sales. The sales process was partly identified in the beginning process when you pitched a funder. The ongoing sales process for your nonprofit occurs in the program operations side. When you are recruiting people, You are not only you're not recruiting people just to serve them, which is the key purpose of your organization, your mission, your goals, etc. They represent the paying customer, even though the customer does not pay. The client doesn't pay. For every butt in a seat, it is valued at X number of dollars based upon the contract value. If you have a $100,000 contract and you have 10 people in a seat, that means that every seat that's filled is worth $10,000. What's covered in that $10,000? Staff, expenses, overhead, etc. If you have 5 people, if you have, I said 10, so what if we did 20 people in the seat? So that value goes down to 5,000 and so on and so on, right? Now, it's all about the butts in the seats. In order for you to put yourself in position to raise the next 2 years of money from that same funder, you must put butts in seats. And if you don't, you can lose your current funding of the first year because you're underperforming, and they will shut you down and give it to another funder or another provider. Been there, done that, and have been on the receiving end of that, and am glad to receive the money that you have lost because you're not performing. But think about this. If you're not performing, if you're not getting butts in seats, you can lose your current year funding and lose the possibility of future funding that has been shared with you, that you may have access to this as long as you meet these obligations. So that means that when you're recruiting, it's always about the customer, right? The person who is receiving the services that your nonprofit is committed to serving and delivering. It's also about the business. All right. It's about the sales. It's about your ability to effectively convey a message to a non-paying client, to implore them, encourage them to come to your program, experience your program to its fullest extent so that they can achieve a specific outcome that you believe you can help them achieve and deliver. Every butt in the seat represents money that you're earning for this contract. Let's say you have just easy numbers, $100,000 contract. You have a goal of serving 10 people. Every person that you put in that seat is worth $10,000, right? Regardless of how you spend the money, staff, overhead, etc. That butt in a seat is worth $10,000. That means every person that walks in the door, that goes through the intake process, that goes through the process of eligibility to determine if they are fit and if they are qualified to use, take advantage of the services, they are worth, once they get to the end of the process, worth $10,000. That's it. If you don't hit that number, you are not spending all the money, which means that you have not sold every possible seat associated with your program. That is equivalent to saying that if I have to sell 10 seats to get to $100,000 for my grant, that is equivalent to saying I have to sell 10 T-shirts to get to my goal of $100 because they're $10 a piece. And if I don't hit my goal of $100 a piece or $100 of my inventory, then I won't be able to pay bills or pay my rent or pay me as the owner or creator. So 8 won't do it, 7 shirts won't do it, 6 won't do it, 9 may get me over the hump, but 10 has to be achieved. I have to sell 10 T-shirts. I have to wash 10 cars. I have to cut 10 heads to meet my anticipated revenue goal. Anything less is unacceptable. That is how we measure sales in the nonprofit world. If you are not filling butts in seats as agreed upon with your grant outline or grant requirements or contract, you are not meeting your sales outcomes. And while you may feel like you've made an achievement by getting the grant and getting the yes and getting the check and all that other stuff, you have to still perform to keep the money. Nobody tells you that. I mean, it's in the contract, but nobody who is encouraging you to start a nonprofit business is telling you you have to perform to keep the money. Nobody is telling you you have to perform to get future money that may be easier to get than any other grant you can get, right? The easiest grant to get is a grant that's renewed because there's no competition. You already in the pipeline. As long as you perform, we can unlock additional 2 years of funding. As long as you're in the pipeline. And once you get in the pipeline, that opens up the opportunity door for you. So as it relates to the concept of recruitment is an important fundraising strategy because no matter what dollar amount you are coming in the door with this particular funder, it can lead to greater potential that has been spoken or unspoken. And your ability to recruit puts you in position to generate more grant-related revenue, and it can help you fundraise. When you're underperforming, when there are no results, when there are no outcomes, when there are lackluster numbers, then you are going to struggle to position yourself to say to a funder, renew us, or to re-up our contract. The other part of this means that when you're able to recruit effectively for a singular grant, you now can strategically promote to other funders that we have a program that is just wildly successful. And we believe that in partnership with you and your grants that you may have available, we can serve even more people by doing X and by following XYZ process. And because of that, you now are opening a door, fundraising professional, a would-be nonprofit entrepreneur. You're opening a door for new funding to come in to attach itself to current programs or similar programs. Even if you're launching a new program, what you're learning from your recruitment strategies, your sales process, if you will, can be copied and pasted to another program that can get similar results because the system of recruitment is there. The system and the process of recruitment has been established, and you now know what it takes to get a certain customer type in the door so that you can put a butt in a seat, which means a dollar amount. That is why recruitment is reflective. It reflects on your fundraising strategy. One of the fastest ways to lose money is to not perform, to not hit numbers, to not hit outcomes. This is why when people say they want to start a nonprofit, they talk about, I just want to serve the people. Great. You can't serve the people without money. You can't serve the people if you don't have a building. You can't serve the people if you don't have staff. You can't serve the people if you can't buy supplies. You can't serve the people if you don't have computers. You can't serve the people if you don't have internet. You need money. In order to get the money, you need to perform. No matter if you're a nonprofit, for-profit business, you need to actually conduct sales. You need to sell your program, your product, your service in order to get the money you need in-house. That means you have to have a discipline that allows you to do the heart-driven work, and you got to have the discipline that allows you to do the sales piece as well. Recruitment has a deep-seated impact on fundraising. And if you don't believe me, talk to your peers, talk to people who have been in the business for a long time, and they will tell you that I have lost money because we didn't hit numbers, we didn't perform. I mean, you may lose grants for other reasons that may be outside of your control, but realistically, the one of the harshest, meanest ways to lose money is because you did not have a process in place to recruit. So I'm sharing this with you because this needs to be talked about. This needs to be articulated on a regular basis for you and for people who are looking to jump into the nonprofit world. Yes, we need more nonprofits. We need more people who care, who have a connection with the work, whatever the work is. But there's also a balance between the heart-driven elements of the work and the business side because they go hand in hand. They are one and the same, two sides of the same coin. And so I encourage you to think deeply about your recruitment strategies. Think about the partnerships. Think about the relationships you're developing or need to develop, because without it, you're not going to position yourself to make fundraising easier. Again, the easiest fundraising strategy is the strategy that allows you to take advantage of existing funding and be in the pipeline for new funding that can be unlocked by just simply being renewed or just given a new grant because we already know your work and we're familiar with what you do. So I hope this helps, and I hope this continues to help you on your fundraising journey. This is the Dr. William Clark Podcast. We'll see you in the next episode. Have you ever wondered how large nonprofits consistently generate millions of dollars? Have you ever wondered how to write the perfect grant or how to successfully manage a grant or even how to find money beyond grants? Hi, my name is Dr. William Clark. I'm the creator and instructor for Grant Writing 101 Masterclass. This masterclass is over 11 hours of training, and it comes with tools, tips, and tricks on how to generate significant money for your nonprofit. Some students have been fortunate enough to build six-figure programs, and others have been fortunate enough to triple their fundraising results. Whatever your goals are regarding your fundraising or your grant writing, the Grant Writing 101 Masterclass can help you achieve them. To register your seat, simply go to mysixfigurefunding.teachable.com, and you'll be taken immediately into our student access portal where you can access all of our trainings. You can take the trainings on demand at your pace at any time. You can fast forward, you can rewind, you can even interact with other students and me all online from the comfort of your home or your office. If you want to secure your seat today, go to mysixfigurefunding.teachable.com. Again, it's mysixfigurefunding.teachable.com. I'm looking forward to learning with you and growing with you as you achieve the fundraising results you're looking for your nonprofit.